Juice WRLD.
These lyrics are layered. Like he's talking about, like you said, withdrawal chills. We talking about opioid addiction.
There is a great pop punk album in this and a terrible rap album.
I've been waiting for so long to hear from ScHoolboy Q, and I'm like, yes, a song. Was it my favorite ScHoolboy Q song? Absolutely not.
That video made me like the song way better. I was listening, so I was like, it's okay. And I was like, oh shit.
Welcome back, ScHoolboy Q. We missed you.
What's up, geniuses? Welcome back to For the Record, and I'm your host, Rob Markman. We got a lot of things to talk about today. For one, looks like he's gonna have the #1 album in the country, Juice WRLD, Death Race for Love. We won't get into that album, what it means, the state of emo rap, 22 tracks, is it too much? Was it not enough? Also want to get into the Bloody Sunday Freestyle, the Yelawolf new diss record, AKA the White Rapper Massacre. We're gonna find out what's going on there. Why can't white rappers just get along? We're also gonna go into the ScHoolboy Q new video, Numb Numb Juice. How we feeling? It's been a little bit of a hiatus for ScHoolboy Q. And I also want to talk about 2 Chainz Rap or Go to the League and what those final album sales plus streams look like and what that says about us as fans, all right? So we're going to get right into it, man. First up, our panel here today. I'm very excited for this panel today. We got him back. Every time I turn on the internet, you say something controversial, you get the people going.
Hey.
I expect the same here. Let's go.
Absolutely.
We need that same energy, man. My man, cultural critic, Jameer Pond, what's up?
How you doing?
Dope.
Peace and blessings.
Stop being extra.
Thank you. My goddaughter bought me this hat, so she told me that.
She got
How old is
great
your
taste.
goddaughter?
5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next up again, somebody I only see when I actually turn on my TV, the television, and then when she's here on a guest on For the Record.
Hi.
All right, co-host of the Black Girl Podcast,
Yes.
plus on-air talent.
Thank
one
you.
of my favorite people in the world, one of the most trusted voices that we have in this culture.
Wow.
Wow.
I feel
Peppers.
great right now. Thank you so much. This is going in my reel. Thank
I
you.
feel great to have you.
Thank you.
You don't trust me? Shit.
See,
A little
this
bit.
is what happened last time.
I-
and when
That
he
is
saw
what
you the cultural critic, and then you got
I
upset.
trust you to be you, but stop being extra.
You were wow.
And last but certainly never ever least, staff writer over at Rolling Stone. He just wrote a new article called The Best Rappers in the World of Babies. You're gonna have to check that out, man. Shout out to Birdman. My man Charles Holmes, man. Welcome to For the Record, man.
Yo, what up? Thank you for having me.
First topic I want to get into, Juice WRLD.
Yeah.
Death Race for Love. Looks like he's expected to sell about 150K. And I hate saying sales because it's streams plus sales. It's not pure sales. Nobody sells anything anymore. But 150K on the charts. Looks like he's gonna have #1. Really kind of stuck to his core on this one. But I wanted to just throw it out there of what we thought about the Juice WRLD album, Death Race for Love.
You know, I have to personally listen to Juice WRLD in spurts. Like, it can be a sunny day above 48, 49 degrees outside, and I could like clearly listen to a whole Juice WRLD project because he is so emo, and I'm not in that place anymore. Like,
Right.
I got a pretty decent credit score. You know what I'm saying? Like, thank God, you know? But there was a time where I could, but I can't like that. So this album, which I still feel like is good because it encompasses like 2 parts of Juice WRLD, right? So we have the totally emo, but he still could spit on some tracks. Like we saw with the Thug track and the track Syphilis,
Right.
which is one of my personal favorites, not the disease. I'm clean, y'all, all right? But that
Fantastic.
track, it was very good. So I could listen to the more lyrical tracks on there, on the more trap tracks, but the emo tracks, they kind of bring me down.
Yeah, I like 10 Feet too. I thought when
10
you talk
Feet was
about
fire.
lyrical tracks, like 10 Feet was just like one of them ones. I'm like, oh, you
Yeah.
rapping.
Oh, you can rap. Yeah.
Wait, we like Juice WRLD rapping? He's a terrible rapper.
Yeah, but it's so, all right, so.
He's not, the lyrics on this album are really bad.
I think it's good I think what I'm talking about more so not actually the lyrics, but him like the rap tracks, like the hip hop tracks, like him rapping on this track breaks up a lot for me, and I'm just speaking for me, breaks up a lot of the emotion. So when the track like 10 Feet comes on, it's like, I'm sort of like this, and then 10 Feet, and I'm like, oh, okay.
It's refreshing.
Yeah.
It's refreshing.
But go ahead, I don't want to go ahead.
Like, he can flow. Like, I think, like, there is a great pop punk album in this and a terrible rap album. Like, some of the lyrics, I'm like, bro, like, you have anybody in the studio, he's like, I freestyled everything. I'm like, bro, I can tell.
shows.
The devil
Like,
emoji lyric? Yeah,
Like, I
with
can
the
tell you
devil emoji.
freestyled this shit. Like, but he's the biggest rock star on the planet. I wish he'd stop rapping.
The biggest rock star on the planet.
Name me another rock star that's gonna do what, 150 first week?
Axl Rose.
I'm thinking Uzi.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if Uzi could do that right now.
Right.
Is he still, he's like on...
I don't that
hopscotching.
that hiatus,
You don't know.
that retirement, my album's not coming out. For me, that's just all a marketing ploy. I
True.
feel like how you gonna not put out a Lil Uzi Vert album?
I agree.
At this point, you can't. I like the Juice WRLD album. I thought 22 tracks was too much. I really didn't need 22 tracks from Juice WRLD.
And it wasn't that long either. It was like an hour and change.
Right,
but
it was just felt long because it was like, hold up, is this the same song? Is this breakdowns? It's like Solange just going to a different, no, it's a different song. Yeah. And so I thought it was a little bit too much, but I do appreciate a dude who feels, but emo rap, like you said, you have to be in that place to really, really relate to the music or else it's gonna kind of bring you down. Like at the end of the day, the lyrical content is dope. I think he's going to be an incredible, incredible rock star. Like something about him, he has a presence. His music makes you like jam even if you don't want to. Even if he's like, I'm so upset, and you're like, I'm also lit. So I appreciate him for what he's creating. I do think it's a bad rap album. I really love what you said there, but at the end of the day, like you have to be in a place to listen to this and not feel sad. Because I was like, oh my God. Listening today on this nice sunny day in New York. I was like, hold up now.
Black candles.
Right.
Yeah.
Those emo tracks were my favorite, yeah. Man,
well, which one? All of them?
Oh man, like
there was 22 of them.
Maze was great.
Right.
The one Ring Ring when he's talking about the white boy's talking about like somebody answered the phone. Like Postmates is here and Juice WRLD's like, I'm having withdrawal chills. I'm like, bro, like somebody needs to help my man.
That's
you know?
also another thing because I'm always like, emo rap always wants to make me call like a mental health hotline. Yeah. Like just seriously, it makes me feel like a lot of kids are open with their mental health, which is a good thing. But on the other side of that, I'm like, is everybody okay?
I'm afraid of that. What you say, and I'm not accusing Juice WRLD of this, right? But the whole emo rap trend that's happening right now, right? I'm fearful of it going the gangster rap route in terms of how many of these kids are really emotionally or depressed or making music that feels and sounds like that because we know this is sales, this is what the label want. The same way we had kind of gangster rap and then you had just a slew of fake gangsters in the late 80s and 90s and it felt really like marketed to you instead of this is the reality. And you can never fault an artist for speaking their truth. And I'm not saying that. What I'm fearful of and what I'm watching out for now is the copycats coming and how the industry, like capitalizes off of that. Because you're going to have a lot of kids who may be cool, acting fake sad, and end up fucking their life up.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
That's my biggest criticism. Like, I don't know if he really is going through this, but you playing on it heavy. Like, these lyrics are layered. Like, he's talking about, like you said, withdrawal chills. We talking about opioid addiction, lean addiction, suicide. The last track is like, if I can't have you, nobody will. To an impressionable kid, it makes sense to them.
Right. And he talks about, and again, and not to cut you off, but it reminds me of, he said in an interview, I had actually heard this story from Future's side before, but he said in an interview that he felt like he disappointed Future because when they first met on World on Drugs, that he was like, yo, man, I started drinking lean at 13 because of you. And he talked about the reaction that Future had and the look in his face that he looked very disappointed.
Yep.
So the same way is Juice. What is he doing? How are 13-year-olds reacting to what Juice is putting out there? And it becomes kind of this vicious cycle, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I interviewed Future, I asked him about that. And like, I've never seen a man, like he had like an existential crisis. Like he told me, like, it sticks in my mind. He's just like, yo, what did I do to these kids? Like, how many of these kids did I influence to do this? And he was like broken up about it. And I think what's heartbreaking about the Juice WRLD album is like, he's gone back and forth in interviews being like, hey, I'm sober now. And in the recent Billboard, like, he's like, hey, it's a process. And he's like drinking lean. And I think that's what's scary about this album is like, you can tell this is a kid who's going through addiction. Yep. And a lot of kids they just think this is hot. And it was hard.
But also becoming sober is, and to Juice WRLD's credit, is a process. It's not a one-day thing. Future came on this show, sat in this very seat and talked about how he doesn't drink lean anymore. He was afraid to open up because he didn't know how the fans were gonna react. I believe 2 Chainz doesn't drink lean anymore. And with 10 years ago, we seen Lil Wayne go through this. Yeah. And Lil Wayne actually talking in interviews about when I don't sip, my stomach hurts because you become dependent on it. So the withdrawals, the things that he's talking about on Ring Ring correlates to real shit. I'm not addicted to lean. I never sip lean. Right. But through stories that we heard and you hear him kind of rapping or singing on a song like Ring Ring like he is, it's like, oh, it all kinds of adds up. Like he's teeter-tottering on trying to get right and fighting his demons. My
biggest thing is, and I would hate to bring up X here, but in the same way that like when I listen back to his music, it always sounded like a cry for help. I'm like, okay, so emo rap is a product of what these kids are going through, what they're doing. It's just, it is what it is. You're listening, you're 19, 18, 17, you're making this music right now. That's what you listen to sometimes. But I think that if we don't pay attention to the nuances of what they're saying, we are doing them a disservice as well. So I'm just hoping like he has big bros and people who are like, hey, that track was hot, but you want to talk? Like, you want to go to therapy?
That's how I felt about the Brent Fryers interlude, The Demons, because it's really, right, it's him saying, like, don't let it in. It kind of felt like the conscious on the album, the angel on the shoulder, so to speak. So I thought it was like a perfectly kind of placed interlude, and the fact that Juice is not on that track at all felt like it was kind of somebody else talking to him, helping to pull him through.
Beautiful.
But you were talking about gangster rap, and I think what's interesting is like we already saw in the past 2 years what's happened to these rappers. If you think about Lil Peep, if you think about Fredo Santana, like having complications from drinking lean, if you think about like X getting shot, like we still as a culture and as an industry are not like answering like, hey, we're profiting off of people's like destruction and pain. And at some point we gotta stop and be like, these are kids and these are black kids. Like, what are we going to do?
And I think that's because lean is not marketed the way it really is. Like, it's liquid heroin. Like, if we keeping it a buck.
This is nothing. We saw this with Rest in Peace DJ Screw.
Yes, we did.
We saw this with Rest in Peace Pimp C. Yams. You know what I mean? Like all were open about their addiction and died either as a direct result to the addiction or some complication that correlated to the addiction to the drug.
So I mean, what is it gonna take? People stop saying that lean is something that they're drinking in their song, like, cause it's like it is a part of the culture. But how realistic is it that we get these rappers to be like, hey, let's have a full meeting here. Let's calm down with the lean talk, because it's a part of what kids are like now idolizing, and so it's scary.
You know what I think it's gonna take? Like, we saw what happened with gangster rap in the 90s. We saw 2 huge figures, Big and Pac, have to leave the earth before people came together. It's gonna take, unfortunately, for this culture, big pivotal figures
we've seen it.
Either withdraw or pass away, unfortunately.
Where what else is going to take? I mean, we've seen Mac Miller pass away. Charles, like, what is it going to take?
I don't know, man.
Okay, real quick, and before we go, Charles, I want to throw this to you because you said it was a bad rap album.
But a great pop punk album. Great pop punk album.
And I'm holding you to that. His A&R over at Interscope, Dash Sherrod said that this is Juice's Reasonable Doubt and Life After Death. And I think it makes for a great headline because it makes people react. Look, I'm from the 90s, so what? Reasonable Doubt, Life After Death. It makes your ears perk up and makes you relax, react. I don't know if that, he was saying it was his life after death, his reasonable doubt, his work that people will come to years later. Do you agree?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I was saying like the first like couple days I was like, this is trash. And then I was like going back to like my middle school, high school stuff. I'm like, bro, I could go to into any high school. I'm like, do you guys think like this is like Juice WRLD's Reasonable Doubt? Or if I held up both albums, they're just like, yeah, put that Juice WRLD on. Like it's a good album for him. Like there are parts on that album where I'm like, oh, like you tapped into melodies and singing that the kids are going to, it's gonna do something to them. And I have to like commend him for that.
I don't ever want people to associate Juice WRLD with any Jay-Z or Biggie project. Like, we gotta really like leave shit, like, because it's not even it's not comparable. Like, we really gotta start putting respect on these albums that came before. Like they're their own. Like leave it alone.
Right.
Like stop chasing the '90s. Like we got to stop holding that up to be like the precedent. There's a new generation. Juice WRLD's new album is the Juice WRLD's new album of this generation.
And I had to read it twice because at first I'm like, man, fuck out of here.
You was
and then I read
tripping.
that it's his life after death. So I took it more so as him saying, after I had to read it a couple of times, his career-defining album, the way those albums were career-defining. Like, I didn't expect to hear, when I turned it on, I'm like, I'm not going to hear Can I Live?
Right.
My whole
this.
thing is, it took time for us to realize that those albums were what they were.
He's moved out years.
So I'm like, you're kind of premature with this statement.
Right.
Let's let it be out for a good month at least before we actually say, oh, you don't even, this kid could have 22 more tracks that he didn't put on this album that might have been better and could be on the next album. Right. So that's crazy for you to be like, you're my artist. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this out there. You're not gonna do anything better. So let's just like that doesn't make it. That kind of like
I like that, but I like that. Let's get the people. If I'm an A&R man, I think everything I touch, I'm just like, this is ill man. This is his ill. I'm like saying I'm back. That's me.
That might be part of the problem.
Let's get the people going, yo.
Smoking the drugs.
Talk about getting let's go into getting the people going. Yelawolf, we hadn't heard from Yelawolf in a long time.
Did you snort?
She might have. The bloody, he dropped the Bloody Sunday Freestyle though, where he's aiming at all the white rappers. Takes an aim at Clever, who's on Ring Ring on Juice WRLD's album. MGK got it. G-Eazy got it. Now there's this weird back and forth with Post Malone. Yeah. I don't know if I actually want to see a Post Malone diss track at all. Like, I'm cool on that, but Bloody Sunday, what do we think about it? Do we care? Are we moved by this?
Moved? No.
It was garbage.
Like,
You thought the track was garbage?
Oh, the freestyle was garbage.
I think I think Yelawolf could rap.
Yes.
Yellow's a great
he's
rapper.
a good rapper. I mean, Eminem signed, and like Eminem ain't going to just sign anybody. But I think that the troll is just so obvious. Yeah. It's just too obvious. Like, you're like, aha, all white rappers, I'm coming for you. So it's just like, I get it. Like, when you are put against people in these categories, like they're obviously, like the same way if Cardi comes out with something, everyone's gonna talk about Nicki. And if Megan Thee Stallion comes out with something, they're gonna put her next to Cardi. We get it.
Can we please stop that from happening?
Thank you.
The Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B shit.
They're fine. They're two different artists. And they're so cute. I love them.
Right.
And ratchet.
But I didn't mean to. I just thought that PSA moment.
Please, make that a PSA. Send it to the camera.
The more you know. Like, that's what it needs. Like a rainbow to come up. Stop.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes. But I do think that I get that you want to be the top of your category. But at the end of the day, y'all can just be friends. Like, there can't be much of a difference of
Yelawolf's not like a
y'all-
friendly guy.
I know.
At all.
Not friends, but like just like cool. Like, hey, bro, good album the other time. That was tight. All right, bye. Like, it doesn't have to be this.
My white brethren.
But it's like 2019. Like, the world is burning, yo. I don't need two white men like arguing like who's appropriating more. I'm like, bro, shut up. Like, I like Yelawolf. Trunk music is great, but dude, like Post Malone handled it great. I'm like, he's like, Yelawolf's a nerd. I'm like, you're right, Post.
Hey, Post Malone calling anybody a nerd is kind of...
Yeah, but like, what do we want Post to do in it? Like, it's like
Nothing.
Like, is Yelawolf mad because like Post did it better? Like, this is kind of like a...
If you don't just stay in your lane, you have music, you're doing okay, just be like, you're good.
Right.
This is pointless.
I actually like a good white on white rap beef. I like, you know
So
what?
you sitting back enjoying the show.
Because I'm swirling my wine around. It's a balmy day, and I'm hearing this white rap beef, and while it is intentional and clearly as fuck, I'm like, when's the next time we gonna hear a white rap beef amongst all Caucasian rappers? Like, when's the next time you gonna hear that? Like, not a black person in sight.
But do we want to hear it?
Not at all. But I would like to visually see what is ensuing. But like, I don't have any interest in this. I just think it's cool that
it really
ain't no
beef?
black folk involved.
If no one's really coming back with him with any music.
Post, I was surprised Post actually responded and came with the clapback. I wonder if Post is actually going to drop
I hope not.
a song.
Let's-
I don't want to hear Post Malone diss track to
No.
anybody.
It's gonna be heavy with guitars, and now at that point, let's just give it back to God. I don't want it. I don't want it.
I
All
like
right.
the comment that he posted when Yelawolf was like, getting it. And I was like, dang, how you gonna be like, you literally have evidence that you are my friend. Like, we are good. You're gonna calm it down.
Yeah.
It's not necessary.
All right, so mostly we're not into this. Jameer just likes to kind of see the demise
do
of
this.
white rappers on a whole.
No, not the demise, but like dance. Go ahead. We've been doing it.
Right.
Shit.
I want somebody to get run up on. Like, I want Yelawolf to just like be like, show up at a post show and be like,
Don't run up on MGK. I tell you that.
Right.
Hands and feet will get put on.
We're not advocating none of the violence.
No
here.
violence.
I was about to be like, so let's just not.
I want to talk about 2 Chainz, rap or go to the league. Me personally, like I love this album. The purpose that 2 Chainz kind of rapped with, the creativity that he did with his rollout. I know a lot of people had mixed reactions on LeBron A&Ring the album and what an A&R actually does. But you know, everything from the jacket with all of the patches to the Atlanta to the yellow milk crate that he had for sale. There was a lot on this album and surrounding this album that 2 Chainz did. Again, I use the word sold loosely, but equivalent sales of 65,000. While his last one, Pretty Girls Like Trap Music, over 100K in the first week. Still has the #1 rap album in the country. But how do we feel? I saw the 2 Chainz sales, and as a fan, I was disappointed. I felt like we should have lifted this album up way more. Like we didn't do our part. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What else? Like you were talking about before, what else do we want from 2 Chainz? I think 2 Chainz is one of those rappers that is masterful at reinventing himself, masterful at putting himself in every space that matters, whether he's on Two Broke Girls or if he's on Law & Order SVU or if he's on his own show or if he's rapping or talking about, being a family man. I love 2 Chainz. It's so much, it doesn't even make any sense. So I was disappointed to see that only 65,000 people, equivalent to that streamed it, talked about it, because in our circles, it looked like everybody was like, this is the best album. 2 Chainz is really
Are
killing
we
it
closed
here.
off because we're in media?
I was about to say, I don't like what was missing, because even LeBron, who's arguably the greatest player of our time, arguably, I know
Missing the
everyone's
playoffs, but yeah.
missing the playoffs here. That's why I said it. I was like, here we go. We about to get real first take. But still, Bron was a part of the project and the rollout. And though he didn't necessarily wear, a rapper go to the league warm up, he was absolutely pushing it and telling everybody to do, listen to it. So I don't understand.
Chainz was on the shop on HBO.
Right. Like what else?
But from a business and marketing perspective, I don't actually think, I'm not surprised he did those numbers, because Chainz to me is somebody who needs a lot of runway. Like Pretty Girls Like Trap, the marketing was so pristine. It was very long. He had the house. There was way more coverage, even media-wise. So I think while 2 Chainz fans thought this was the better album, and it is, the larger world, you're just kind of average, I'm just gonna check albums, was kind of what is this? I don't think that they really, really knew that 2 Chainz was out.
And Pretty Girls Like Trap Music wasn't no punk. But yeah, I did feel like this album was
better.
Was defining, was a better 2 Chainz album. Dope things about Chainz, and I think it's by design, is he doesn't set his success up to rely on sales. Like the merchandise rolling out the way it did is just another way to capitalize off of being present in the market space, and I can sell these jackets, and I can sell hats and trappy bobblehead dolls. And there's a tour coming, I'm sure. If you go a couple of years back, it was the Dabbing Santa sweaters when he didn't really have any album in the marketplace, had a very successful year and season doing that. So I think 2 Chainz as a hustler sets himself up to not just rely to eat off of rap. But my thing in seeing this, the one thing I came away with, and I've been feeling for a while, we got to change the way that we calculate shit. First of all, I'm sick of saying sales.
Yeah.
I'm sick of talking about sales, because the industry is not pushing anybody to actually buy shit.
That's a fact.
And we're, as a consumer base, are not buying anything. So I think we need to take sales out of the vocabulary. And the real thing is, and this is just me talking, is clicks. What can I get you to do to click that link? And we see kind of the most silliest, viral, not necessarily artistic things getting clicks and streams, and it's not the same to me as going up and walking to Best Buy or
And
going
picking
to
up
iTunes and saying, hey, I want to spend actually $10 of my money on this one thing right here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think y'all make a good point as far as like that specific. But I think going back to what you said, Chainz doesn't necessarily rely on that as far as sales, and I think he knows what kind of artist he is. So while I'm sure he would love to sell more on this album, I think this is also a flag in the sand for rappers over a certain age having #1 albums and pushing that age barrier forward. So Jay is like the leader of that, right? Jay is almost 50, he can come out, drop a #1 album. He's expanding that. But 2 Chainz is definitely in the running as well of carrying that flag. Him, Pusha, M. Ye, despite what you may feel about him, T.I., there's people that are over certain ages now advancing the legacy of what hip hop looks like and what's the cap off age. And I feel like that's a big significant thing, more than just sales or how the album does. To have 2 Chainz, Wayne, and E40 on a track together, and nobody is under the age of 32, you know what I'm saying? It's very, it goes to show that they're carrying that flag for like what age standards are in hip hop and what's cool. Like 2 Chainz is still very culturally relevant, a family man, and just able to still, and he's like growing. He's growing as an MC.
That was the wild shit. It was like, yo, he really grew on this. Like,
Yeah.
My daughter asked me what a drug dealer was. I said me. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's
like just
crazy.
even like opening up the way.
We
the
talked
way he
about
does.
Lil Fate and Lil Fate, his child passed.
That remind me. I told him that was his Scarface. This can't be life moment. This is a moment with 2 Chainz, and we've gotten it before, but this is like concentrated of where he's not just rapping about 2 Chainz anymore. Like it's the world around him. You know.
But do we think that it's like, for that, do we think it's a failure? Because like 2 Chainz didn't have a big record coming out the gate, and just the fact that he sold that much, and I think like 13 of those were like actual album sales. Like to me, that's a success, showing like 2 Chainz can now pivot. Like he can do the club records, but also he can just drop a classic album about him being a grown man, which I'm like, for him to sell that much, I'm like, oh shit, like 2 Chainz that's another level for him in a different way.
Yeah, to me, it's not a remark on Chainz success. I think he's gonna be, again, he's a hustler, so he's gonna be, I'm gonna get mine.
Yeah,
one way or another. Like that's his thing. I look at it more as a failure on our part as the fan. Like what does it take for us to kind of support? Because Tekashi 6ix9ine, let's say for an example, it's all of the antics, and then we click the music. We'll run and click that. Like we'll run to a mess. We'll run to the burning building and sit there and watch and engage. But the thing that really kind of feels important to us artistically, and it's cool to be entertained, but why don't we run to the dope shit?
And then I was also going to say, is this also just telling of there's so much music that comes out on a daily basis where it actually is the young viral artists that are getting more of this real estate online just because of the amount of articles that are written about the antics that they're a part of. And then at the end, it's always like, also check out so-and-so's albums coming out next week. Like, I think 2 Chainz is too old for that. So at the end of the day, you got kids. He has people who look up to him who are actually like in his life. He has a whole fan base that's way too old to care about the little things that Tekashi or anybody keeps replaying and redoing. I think that that's just a sign of the times, and I don't think 2 Chainz feels like he has to be a part of that.
Right.
So I agree that it's not a failure, and I also think 2 Chainz, like you said, he's so good at just being himself. Like I've
seen the
seen
video
him
of him and the kids playing.
Yes.
His son throwing up the alley.
Yes, and then just like, I mean, the fact that he has a show based off his like spending habits. And then also I saw him during All-Star Weekend, and he could have been a comedian. Like he had people rolling in between songs. Like somebody was on a live stream. He was like, it was like a 50-year-old woman at the show. And he was like, how many people in there? She was like, 4. He was like, tell them 4 people I said what's up. Like he's just mad funny, and I just appreciate 2 Chainz as a person. So I don't think he has to be a part of the antics.
I just want to make it a point also, like you were saying, so much music coming out at the same time. Now that this could be it, you know, or it could, you know, but I'm just giving a maybe a plan of action. There was also the day that Solange came out with her album, they dropped at the same time.
Yeah.
And I know a lot more people at that point in time were listening to Solange. Like that was coming out of everybody's speaker and the whole rollout with that and the whole mysterious like little clips in the whole video. I'm saying, you know, it could have affected. I'm not saying that it did, but that could be
But even in this world where if you stream, I could see that if it was sales because it's like,
True.
I only got this $10.99.
Right.
I can only buy
Who
one.
I gotta spend it on.
But I could listen to both. I got Apple, I got Tidal, Spotify, who wants to block songwriters from getting a raise is crazy to me. But
Oh shit.
whoa, that's a whole nother
That's
episode.
a different episode.
Do you think like the market is correcting itself? Because if you think about like, I look at somebody like Lil Pump and his antics, like he ended up selling less than Offset and less than Gunna and probably the same as 2 Chainz. So it's like those antics don't
Always.
apparently like 2 Chainz is like has been like he's doing 100 to like 70 to 60. You know what I'm saying? Like can Pump continue that? Like he dropped. So it's like 2 Chainz. I would rather be 2 Chainz at this point from a sales perspective.
I would always rather be 2 Chainz.
Yeah. Well, there's clear longevity there. Yeah, and I think things are changing. I think the pendulum is swinging. I think there's so many times that we're going to fall for the clickbait, so to speak. Finally, I want to end on ScHoolboy Q. We just saw the video for Numb Numb Juice. ScHoolboy has been, you know, kind of quiet for a long time. We've been expecting this next ScHoolboy album. We know that he's been semi-vocal about the death of Mac Miller and that kind of him not being in the mood to necessarily be out. He needed some time for that because of their relationship and was real close. And the first thing we get for this next ScHoolboy Q album is Numb Numb Juice. What do we think of this song and this drop?
I love the song. I'm a Q fan, so you know I'm not biased, but I really enjoyed the song. What I did realize though, before I saw the video, I was like, this beat kind of sounds familiar. Like the production on it kind of sounded like Gummo by Tekashi. And then when you watch the video, actually, you see like this 4-picture thing of this dude in a courtroom pointing. You see next to him he's with this girl, and you see him like acting tough. Like it was just, it made me realize like Q might actually be more calculated than we give him credit to. Like that whole TDE family is very calculated in what they do. So maybe the beat was a play off of that. I don't know, but I enjoyed the song. I mean, this is Q. I feel like he's more energized. He feels like, yo, I'm like what you say. He kind of wasn't in the mood when Mac Miller passed. He feel like like he's ready.
Right.
And he need his Grammy, because Rock got a Grammy now.
Rock got the Grammy.
Rock got a Grammy, so he need his Grammy. Come on.
I appreciate that about Dreamville artists in general. I mean, of course, Lord Jesus, I
Watch
am
your mouth.
sleeping.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Don't bring up Dreamville around this guy. Last time we had it, there was a situation.
Sorry.
We
My
love
left side of my
Dreamville too.
brain was asleep. Ooh, Chile. Sorry. Let me start that over again. Oh no, but I do think that about TDE artists in general, they do a really good job of just being human beings and not being afraid to be like, right now, I'm not feeling it, so we're just gonna wait. Y'all, I don't have to put out an album every week. You're just gonna have to wait for my music to come, and you'll appreciate it because they take their time and they're artists. And I love the video. The satire was dope. Like the way that I thought the song was. I liked the song. I've heard better. Right, I've heard better
thought the
from
song was
ScHoolboy
mid?
Q.
mid.
It wasn't mid, but it
I
wasn't.
thought that was the universal sign for me.
It's so like so.
That's
Okay.
mid.
Like
It was
50-50.
cool. It was
That's
cool.
exactly me.
I was happy to hear from ScHoolboy Q. I have been waiting for so long to hear from ScHoolboy Q, and I'm like, yes, a song. Was it my favorite ScHoolboy Q song? Absolutely
Okay,
not.
no.
But I liked it. It was a great, first re-entrance back into the game. The video though made me love it a lot more.
video puts
because
it over the top.
Right, because the creativity. There are literally 4 different storylines per shot. Like I appreciate his creativity. I appreciate how he looks at everything and the satire in it. The way that he's going at several different lanes of what's happening right now. I appreciated it. So welcome back, ScHoolboy Q. We missed you.
Charles, what do you think, man?
The song was fine. The song was like okay. What I will say, like I'm not the biggest.
mid.
I'm not the biggest TDE person, but I will say like shout out to like Dave Free because you can see that like what he helped Kendrick get to on Damn with all of the visuals being pristine. They're giving it to J-Rock, they're giving it to ScHoolboy, who I don't think they always had the best visuals. I don't think like they were always the greatest. And now with that video, I'm like, oh shit, like it's a formula. Like that video made me like the song way better. I was listening, so I was like, it's okay. And I was like, oh shit, like I get it.
He's one of those artists that you can always expect great music from, and I think he's not so afraid of the new school and not so of the old school that like it won't be relevant. Like he understands everything, and I really love his point of view. So I'm like, let's go.
Q's on the clock.
Except Charles. Charles is on the
No, he's the clock. He needs to drop a classic. We're waiting.
Wow.
You don't think
Energy.
Look at that energy,
The
bro.
one mixtape
Okay.
was like, I don't think he's ever gotten better than that. Which I want
Which
him
one?
to.
Habits?
Yeah,
Habits and
Habits.
Contradiction.
Habits is fire.
To me, that's the best mixtape they've ever dropped.
Right. Wow.
Hot take.
All right.
All of
Boom. We
all
need-
of the
we
all of
need
the
hot
whole
takes.
label.
Where's Ab song?
Blank Face was fire.
Blank
I think
Face
Blank,
was
I think,
fire.
I think Blank Face is super underrated. Like I
Yes.
think Blank Face just went over a lot of people's heads. Maybe it was the timing or whatever was going on at the time.
I loved it.
Blank. To me, Blank Face is his best overall body of work. It's
And had
super
that
dope
fire
album.
Jadakiss verse on Groovy Tony.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He's on the clock. He can't. But I thought it was gonna be you, Charles. You gotta stop being extra, man.
You gotta stop being extra. It's not me. Look.
Nah,
Gotta take the hat off.
You gotta get it. Yo, hold my hat, bro.
we love it though, man.
Dun, dun, dun.
Jameer, Gia, Charles, I thank y'all for coming and I just want
Thank
to
you
talk
for
about
having us.
hip hop.
Yeah,
That's all I
absolutely.
want to do. So I'm
got a
glad
show.
to do
You're
it with
in the right
y'all.
place.
You do have a show.
I do have a show, and I'm glad that y'all watch it every week. Let us know how y'all feel in the comments about 2 Chainz, about white rapper beef. We talked about Juice WRLD. We talked about ScHoolboy Q. I'm always in the comments. I'll talk back, and we'll see you next week. This is For the Record. Peace.